Best practice.
We are live streaming in 3, 2, 1. We're ready.
Okay, today is Wednesday, November 4th, and this is the Hendrick Hudson School Board of Education meeting. Can I get a motion to call the meeting to order, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to move into executive session? The executive session will convene for the purpose of collective negotiations under the Taylor Law.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So to the public, we will be back at approximately 7 p.m. We are now going to convene to our executive session. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to mute.
Okay. All right, it looks like we have all of our board members have rejoined us. Greg, are we ready to go live for the public meeting?
Yes, we are.
All right, excellent. Are you counting me down or should I just go?
We're live.
All right, very good. Good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, November 4th, and this is the Hendrick Hudson School Board of Education meeting. We have just completed our executive session and we are now back in public session. So our first order of business is to approve the agenda as stated. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as stated, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Allie, seconded.
Lori.
Lori, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Does anybody have anything to pull from the consent agenda this evening? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there were no items removed from the consent agenda, no donations this evening. Joe, are you ready for our superintendent's report or do you want me to flip flop this and we do committee reports first?
No, I'm good. I've just got a couple brief updates, and we have some visitors with us to present some fun and exciting things happening in our classroom. So I just want to give some breaking news. One of our student athletes at the high school, Isolda McManus, has been named a Con Ed Student Athlete of the Week. She is, of course, a high schooler of ours and participates in cross country. So more details, but this was given to us, I think, in the last 24 hours. So congratulations to Isolda and thank you for representing our school community. And we're glad that even on a limited format, we can have athletics and have some sort of sense of normalcy as we have schools opened in a pandemic. And just
Great
two other quick updates. These are kind of reminders. They're old news, but I haven't really reported them to the community. The district won two communications awards, one at the state level and one at the national level. Last year, as we moved into pandemic mode and school shutdown in the spring, Karen Hoffman developed a communication strategy where we spotlighted or highlighted our staff working from home, where various staff members submitted a picture of them doing some fun things or teaching from home and a short little snippet of how they're dealing with the pandemic and how they're continuing their teacher duties. And we had 22 spotlights between April and June. They were on our website and Facebook. And highlighting really it's sort of a get to know some of your teachers in a different way. Normally we put on our uniforms and we come to work and we teach and then we go home and take our uniforms off. But last spring and sometimes this year there has been no different. So we were recognized, and that was a great opportunity to highlight some of the really neat things our staff were doing at home, and a little window into their life last year. And also we were recognized nationally by the National School Public Relations Association for our podcast series, which includes trends in the real estate market. As Indian Point announced their closure almost 4 years ago, this January will be our 4-year anniversary. We started meeting with Don Dwyer. Don Dwyer is a local realtor and a Hen Hud parent, and was very involved with the Frank G. PTA for a number of years. And Don would join me about every 6 months and talk about the real estate market and trends and different analytics. And the goal was to educate our community on the status of the housing market. And he came with a lot of charts and a lot of data, and was able, I think, to calm people down when there was a lot of fear and uncertainty with regards to the impact of Indian Point closing, or taxes and property value, and just all of the potential trickle down and dominoes that could fall. So we submitted a number of the podcast interviews that Don and I had, and we were identified as one of a handful of school districts in the state that won a national award. So we wanted to make sure that we shared that with our community, because we're proud to highlight our families and our staff. And you know, in the craziness of educating students today in the pandemic, and all the different models we have, and all of the different breaking news, we wanted to make sure we thanked our staff and let our community know of some of these accolades that take place behind the scenes. So I'll leave it with that. For myself, I'll turn it over to our team. If Margaret, you want to start and give a brief update?
Sure. Just a couple of things, because I know we have a presentation tonight. So we, this past Monday, started with specials for our remote only students at the elementary level. Haven't been able to check in yet because we just got it going, but I haven't heard anything. So I'm hoping that as we progress, it's going well. And if it's not, we'll readdress it and tweak what we need to tweak to make it work. Also started working with Doug Frank and Samantha Hecht to plan music lessons back in second semester for our elementary students. So we did a little brainstorming, and Doug and Samantha are putting together some suggestions for times and groups, etc., understanding the complications that the wind instruments will present for us, but we think we can learn from the experiences of those around us and put something together. Lastly, our take-home bags for our elementary students, which were purchased thanks to a generous grant from the Education Foundation, are being put together by the wonderful students in the Sailor program at the high school. So thank you very much to the teachers and the teaching assistants in the program, and the students most of all. I don't know when they'll be finished because there are 715 bags they have to put together, but I am very grateful for their assistance and the fact that we're turning this into a work-based learning project for them. Thank you also to Lisa Schuckman, who suggested that we reach out to them as a team. So that's all I'll share tonight for curriculum and instruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
You did. Lisa, would you like to give an update?
Absolutely. Margaret, they'll be done soon. Don't worry. We just have to be in school because they are working like machines. I get picture updates every day, and they're working 2 to 3 times a day on them. So it's exciting to see their progress. You know, great news is we have an amazing special ed program. I was sharing with Joe today. We have 3 more special education students that have moved into the district. So we continue to climb with the number of students entering our districts. So that, you know, really talks about how great our special ed program is. Our new assistant director of secondary visited today. He starts Monday, but he did spend some time in the school this afternoon and was able to meet with myself and our assistant director for elementary. Very anxious to get started. He wants to start calling families, some of the team members at the middle school. We continue to provide the supports, you know, and continue on the remote and learn how to do better for our students with special needs. It's very difficult, but we're figuring out ways. Last Monday, we did hold our first of the 4 installments for parents for SEL. Unfortunately, only 2 parents signed on for this whole seminar for the hour. However, it was videotaped and will be shared and translated into Spanish. Probably within the next week, it will be posted on the webpage for parents. We're hoping that we do get a better turnout the next month in December, and that will be going out very soon. So very impressed with the 3 clinicians that were presenting. They did a fabulous job for the 2 families that did show. So that's my update.
Thank you, Lisa.
Why don't we go to Enrique, and then Laura, you can give a brief update and introduce our presenters.
Thank you. From my standpoint, we're having an audit committee in 2 weeks. We finished the audit and we finish our internal audit, and we'll discuss that in 2 weeks with the audit committee. That's basically all I can say.
And I know the facilities committee is going to try to get together next week.
And the facilities committee, you're right, Joe.
Okay. Okay, Laura.
And,
Oh, I'm sorry, Carol.
Sorry, Joe, before we have the presentations, I know you asked Laura to introduce them. I just want to give the board a chance to ask any questions about the
course.
update before we move on. Okay. Laura, do you want to do an update and then we'll do the questions and then we'll do the presentation?
Sure. I'll make my update brief. Part of Ed Law 2D and part of one of the policies that we recently approved is that we had to have required training for all staff that have exposure to any student personal identifiable information. So we began that this week using, tonight we're going to be talking about tech coaches, but 3 of our tech coaches that have joined us this year, specifically focusing and supporting me in the work of Ed Law 2D. So I had Heather Wynn, Elisa Rosen, and Mary Beth Rossetti. The 4 of us have worked on a training that we tried to make somewhat, we wanted to make it effective and also not too boring and too long, but again, effective. So we did a training for elementary staff on Monday, for middle school and high school staff on Tuesday. And we also are going to be providing a recorded version because we have additional staff that need to participate in this. So anybody that works with students, anybody that has students' information, names, addresses. So majority of our staff have to go through this training. So, we talked about complex passwords and understanding, just the concept of phishing and understanding some of the privacy laws. So I think that was very valuable and effective. And the recording will also be posted on our internal website for future reference. In the HR world, it is always busy, especially right now. We have a lot of, it's continuing just working with staff and helping support them navigate this kind of unknown territory right now of maybe being quarantined, maybe knowing someone who is tested positive and just trying to figure out best next steps. So lots of conversations between staff and, Fran Dodara, my administrative assistant, is a huge help in that. And Enrique and I as well work together with a lot of the staff as we kind of work, figure out the best things for them. So that's the end of my update because I want to keep it brief. So if anybody has questions for any of us, and then I will introduce our presenters.
All right, thank you, Laura. I'm going to just kind of do a poll around the room to find out if anybody has questions. Let me start with Lori because she might need to duck out of the meeting for a couple minutes. So Lori, do you have any questions for anybody?
I have nothing yet.
Thank you very much. Mary Pat? Okay, how about Lisa?
I'm good. Thank you.
Allie?
Nope.
Corey?
Oh,
And Bill?
Nothing at this time.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we're ready to move on to our presentations then.
All right. Well, as I have spoken often, we rely heavily on our instructional technology coaches. So our instructional technology coaches, just as a review, we have 20 that are in the district this year. So K through 12, mostly teachers. I believe one of them, we have a librarian, psychologist, And they work in a capacity really to be support their colleagues, to support the building, support me, whether they're testing things out for us or being the first to kind of pilot technology, and really help their colleagues learn. The big push for them this year has been to really figure out what learning looks like in this new environment this year. They were pivotal in helping us really get through last spring. And so I had an opportunity to work with a lot of the tech coaches this summer, which I talked about often, in prepping and planning for this coming school year. So I asked 3 of our teacher tech coaches, and again, these tech coaches, what they do is they work their regular school day, and then they will work before or after school on a lot of planning, prep, and support. So I asked 3 tech coaches. So I have Alexis Albano is our elementary representative today. Christina Ogowetsky is our middle school representative, and Kyle Sina is our high school representative. So they're each going to just briefly touch upon some of the things that they did in helping get us ready for the 2021 school year. So how about we start with Alexis?
Can you all hear me okay? Good. Okay. I am going to go over the technology resource site for students and families. So this site was created over the summer to assist and support students and families with the current instructional technology resources that we are using within the classrooms. So our main goal when creating this was to make it easily accessible for students and families. So our big focus was organizing it so families and students can really find whatever resource they need. So some of these, the site includes how-to video tutorials. So what we have is some of the technology coaches created the how-to video tutorials because we really wanted students and families to hear a familiar voice. So a lot of our resources are those videos and us walking through the steps to solve whatever issue that they need. We also provided other videos that we had already had. And again, we're updating this as new resources are coming out and as we're learning new things. And we also included resources aside from the video tutorials, important information and tips and tricks. So pretty much what we have here is, for example, we included family guidance for iReady. So we have iReady at home. That's really to assist parents on how to use it. We also included links to Distance Learning Resource Center, specifically for Zern. At an elementary level, we really use Zern for extra math support. So we included the links to those tutorials that students or parents can log on to for those webinars. And those run about 30 minutes long. We also added internet access links. So this is really free internet access during the coronavirus pandemic for in case families don't have access to that. So we included that as well. And then we also have on this site tech support resources such as device request forms. We included tech tickets for help desk tickets for students. And then we can move on to the next slide. So on the next slide, I'm going to show you how we organized this website. So when you first click on the link, you get brought to this page and you can choose either if you are a student or a parent. And those, if you see click here, if you are a student, click here if you are a parent, these are buttons. So once the child or parent clicks on that button, they will be directed to the next page, which I will show you now. So the next 2 pages are just some of the resources that we have available on here. We found it was really important to not only add the name of the resource, but also those icons and what they look like. You know, from an elementary standpoint, especially the little guys, they really look for that picture. So for example, if we're looking for Gmail, they're going to look for that envelope. So we felt it was really important and necessary to add those here as well. And if you go to the next slide, this also has the rest of the resources. So we have all of the resources from K to 12 here. So you'll notice Schoology, Edpuzzle, Google Classroom, ClassLink, Seesaw. There's a ton of resources on here. And then at the bottom, we added, if there's anything they don't see, they can click on that. So on the next slide, I actually chose Google Classroom. So I clicked on that link and I organized it this way. So we have sublinks here. So we felt it was important to really organize the different processes throughout Google Classroom. So for example, in the beginning of the school year, we were really showing students how to get started with Google Classroom. So this could be, deleting some of their classes from the previous year. So when they log on to Google Classroom, they're not seeing every class that they've ever been in. So we have tutorials on how to take those away. Also how to simply log into Google Classroom, especially for those little guys. We're really focusing on the logistics of how Google Classroom works. Then we have working on assignments. So what we have here is we're really just showing students, how do we submit an assignment? How do we edit a Google document? And all of these are in question format. So all students need to do is search for what they need. So for example, need to add a picture to your assignment, click here for help. And once that child or family clicks on that link, they will automatically have another web browser opened up, and that will go to the resource video. So it does not close out of the site, it directly goes into that resource. So if you go to the next slide. So the next slide is how our office hours. So in the beginning of the school year, we really tried to organize how the tech coaches provide support. A lot of the support was via Google Classroom or really any of the resources we were using. So office hours are usually offered before or after school. It's really depending on when someone needs assistance or really when we have time available. Some of the building staff have been utilizing office hours to assist with various needs, including assistance to choose appropriate apps. We've been really working with the teachers on, if they need help with Smart Learning Suite and they want to know how to show it and use it with their students. We're really walking them through via Google Meet or even phone or a video conference to walk them through this. Also organizing Google Classroom, which Christina will go over a little bit later. We're really helping teachers organize it so students are seeing the same thing across the board. Cami assistance, etc. So on the next slide shows some of the, we can go to the next, there we go, perfect. All right, some of the software usage that is being used currently at K-5 are Google applications. So this includes Google Forms, Google Classroom, Google Meet, Google Slides. We're using really all of those Google applications. Edpuzzle, Cami, Smart Learning Suite, and there's a list of them there. So some of the way that the tech coaches provide support in these areas are via those office hours, emails, phone calls. If a teacher needs help with something, they will shoot us an email and we will either set up a Google Meet with them, or sometimes it could be simply solved over the phone or via email. So we're really taking each thing that a teacher needs and assisting that way. During the half days in September, the trainings were provided by the tech coaches. So you could really sign up pertaining to the grade levels. And those really helped a lot of teachers as we're really narrowing down how we were using those resources, depending on their grade level and their kiddos. Any questions? Oh, this was added, I think. Yeah, this is just office hours. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
This is great.
If we want, we could probably go through Christina and Kyle's, and then you might have some questions after we get through all the other two presentations as well.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks.
Thanks, Alexis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So Greg, actually, you don't need to share that because I'm going to share my screen in a minute. But I'm just going to speak about two Google Classrooms that we created over the summer. One really to support teachers in organizing their Google Classrooms, and the other one to support students. So really these came about from a lot of discussions over the summer. A group of Blue Mountain teachers, Ms. Bell-Jefferson and myself met pretty frequently and really just reflected on what worked in the spring, what do we need to change, how can we better support our staff and our students come the fall so that things can go as smoothly as possible in the circumstances that we're in. So we really reflected on two main things and created two Google Classrooms from that. And I'll share those Google Classrooms with you in a minute. So the one for teachers was meant really so that all teachers the classrooms were streamlined so that when students were in their math Google Classroom and then going to English and art and so on, there was consistency between the Google Classrooms that they were looking at, and it will vary a little bit depending on the teacher and the grade level and the content area, but we pointed out some main things that should be consistent between all the Google Classrooms, and the student Google Classroom was really created with as we reflected on that, we were all students, teachers, everyone was thrown into this in the spring. And we are asking our middle school, all of our students really to learn in an environment that has been used mainly in a college level. So we can't really expect that they know what it means to be a successful online learner or a remote learner. So we really spent a lot of time outlining for students what it means to be a successful online learner, some home learning etiquette, Google Meet etiquette, and so on. So I'm going to share these Google Classrooms with you and just walk through a few things. So Greg, it says that the host disabled screen sharing. So if you can't get it to work, you can just share my screenshots then.
I just made you a co-host, so you should be able to
okay.
share now.
Got it, thanks. Okay, so this is our Google Classroom that we created for teachers. So again, these actually started we created them at the Blue Mountain level, and then they were shared with the elementary school tech coaches, and they duplicated them and modified them a little bit for elementary school, but really all teachers K through 8 completed this course. So we start off with the basics here. So this classroom is modeled, is a model of what the classrooms, an idea of what Google Classrooms can look like for teachers. So outlined by topics, or some teachers may have it by weeks or different units. And the teachers went through this as if they were students in this Google Classroom, so they were able to view it from what their students would see. So we start off with just some of the basics of the setting options in Google Classrooms. Do students have the ability to comment, to post, just share things on the stream? We talked about setting up topics. So again, these are the topics up here in the orange that you see, which just help with organization. We really emphasize the difference between posting in the stream versus posting in the classwork tab. So we emphasized really that the stream should be used just for announcements, and the classwork tab should be where all assignments are posted. And you'll see when we get to the student Google Classroom why this is so important on the organization end of the students. And then scrolling down here a little bit, we provided some Google Meet expectations, and you'll also see these in the student Google Classroom, so that these Google Meet expectations are consistent among each class, and really district-wide. And then, so if we jump over to the student Google Classroom. So this, at Blue Mountain, in the middle school level, we had all students complete this course on the first day of school. So before they joined any of their academic mods, they went to a breakout room with an assigned teacher and a small group of students, and that teacher walked them through these assignments, and discussed with them the different assignments here. So assignment number 1 starts, so some feedback we got in the spring was that students and parents were getting just way too many emails, and it was overwhelming. So our first assignment really provides the students with the tutorial of how to change their settings. So some students expressed that they like getting those emails every single time something is posted, and others prefer just to go check Google Classroom. So we left this up to the students and their learning style and what they felt was going to work for them. We again speak a lot about the difference between the classwork and the stream tab. So we're trying to streamline it so that the stream is really just used for announcements, and the classwork tab is where they should go for all of their assignments. And the reason for that is when things are posted through the classwork tab, they show up on the student's to-do list and the student's Google Calendar. So that's one of the assignments down here, is helping the students understand how to use the to-do list and the Google Calendar as an organizational tool for them. And as long as assignments are posted in that classwork tab, they are able to view all those due dates in one spot on their to-do list. Some other feedback we got from teachers from the spring was that students had some difficulty with actually turning in assignments or marking assignments as done or turning in blank assignments. So we spent some time emphasizing the difference between when you turn in assignment versus marking an assignment as done, and the need to not turn in blank assignments. And then we go down here and focus a little bit more on some home learning etiquette and what it looks like to be a successful online learner. So we go through Google Meet expectations with the students, and then we have them fill out a Google form here that checks for some understanding. And then we spend some time, so some more feedback that we got was that, you know, some of our students just don't know how to email a teacher in an effective way to get their point across. So we were getting a lot of emails in the spring that just said, help, I need help in the subject area, which doesn't give us a lot of information and is hard for us to help them. So we actually have them watch a video about, how to email a teacher and the difference between writing an email, a professional email, versus writing a text message to your friend, and how those are going to look different. And we had them write a fake email to a teacher, emphasizing that the subject line should be specific to what assignment you're talking about or what it may be that you specifically need help with. And we speak a little bit down here about the importance of having, you know, an appropriate profile image in a professional school setting, because that is, for many, right, a first impression of what your teachers are seeing of you is your profile image, and it may be a different profile image than what would be on your personal Gmail account, but this is a school and a professional account, so that should be an appropriate image. And then and then here we talk about just kind of like the do's and don'ts of their Chromebooks, how to care for their Chromebooks. And then our last assignment was to have them join their Google Classrooms for each of their classes on their schedule there. So that is pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions?
I just wanted to say that the etiquette lesson is excellent. I have 2 members of my family who teach at universities, and they say that the college kids do not know how to email their professors. So it's really nice that you're starting that early. They tend to send the same kind of messages, help, I need help. And it's like, who are you, what class?
And like 500 emojis.
Exactly. But I didn't have any specific questions. Does anybody have questions?
No, but I was going to hit on the same thing you said, Carol. I think this is a big plus. Forget COVID. This is something we should have been teaching anyway, because it was a problem with young people coming out, not knowing how to do a simple, appropriate email. So COVID or not, this is something that should stick with our program ongoing, if we could.
It speaks to the concept of creating strong digital citizens. And so that's something that we try to embrace K through 12 in our curriculum. And it has been things that have been done, especially through our technology courses at the middle school, through our librarians at the elementary school, and through up to the high school. But this really formalizes it a little bit more and gets to every single student. And it was interesting. Again, it came from a lot of what we were seeing that was happening in the spring. And so as a result of what we saw, we were able to kind of create this streamlined instruction. But again, goes back to that concept of Hendrick Hudson is going to create a strong digital citizen. So everything we're teaching all the time, we want our teachers and our staff to learn and understand, but we also want our students too.
Thank you, Laura. Those classes, the way you've set up the website looks so well organized. It's really nice. It looks very user friendly. I'll have to check it out. My daughter is in high school and she's pretty digitally savvy, so I have not taken advantage of the site, but now I want to go look at it. So does anybody else have any questions?
Just as a person in education, I think it's excellent. I really do. I've seen other districts of what they're doing, but I think, I brag about us all the time and try to bring some stuff into my building as well. So it was really good. I looked at stuff and it was, you can't see me, but I'm thumbs up. Good job.
All right, well, we're not done yet. We have our high school representative, Kyle, here, and he's going to talk to us about some of the challenges and the training that have been, we've rolled out into the high school level this year. So I'll take it away, Kyle.
Thanks. Could I get access to share my screen as well?
You should be all set, Kyle.
Okay. Cool. Good evening, everyone. So I am here tonight representing the high school tech coaches. So the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to the high school tech coaches, which includes myself, Mary Beth DeGennaro, Christina Fiel, Anne Marie Gallagher, Stephanie Geiger, Joseph Collada, Shirley Reith, and Thomas Yee. And we have, especially that I'm going to shout them out a lot tonight, been working collaboratively since the summer on just everything that we're going to talk about tonight. The first thing that we're going to talk about is where we were introduced to Schoology. So we started off the year in the summer working to develop ourselves professionally in learning our new learning management system, which was Schoology. That gave us the foundation to then go out and teach our faculty members, our department members, our coworkers, how to start using the system, how to start getting prepared in their own, what we call sandbox, their kind of practice course, while we waited for the year to start. The other thing that I also wanted to point out, and this was across all the tech coaches, probably one of the coolest things that I think we did so far was we kind of had our own virtual ed camp go on at the beginning of the year when we were doing those half days to start. That afternoon, as you can see down here in this calendar, was blocked out with all of us. Just anyone could sign up for different courses and different things, from Schoology to Kami to how to integrate Google Slides with different aspects of Classroom. So whether it was K through 5 or 6 through 12, we were hitting stuff across the board for whatever people were interested in. And then we also took recordings of that and were able to host that on our internal website, which I'll talk about in a minute. Next up, when we were getting ready to learn Schoology and get used to it, we were also considering how to start getting students used to this and to prepare them to start using this system. Stephanie Geiger created an awesome orientation to using Schoology that was made available by cohort. So those first 2 days that we were back in with the, not back in, but virtually in with the kids, we had students broken up by cohorts, and we ran through a presentation, an interactive presentation that the tech coaches had developed together. And we gave students access to the orientation courses, walked them through it, kind of spot checked some issues that came up and answered questions. And that was also where we just took off running at the beginning of the year with this. The next thing I want to show is the crazy amount of videos that we have made. So we've been making videos nonstop from even in spring through summer to now. And one of the places that we've been hosting them, there's a lot of access points. Some of us, I gotta give a huge shout out to Tom Yee, who not only has maintained his own YouTube channel, but has the best thumbnails for his videos, bar none. But we've, Heather Wynn and I have been working alongside Mrs. Nair to work on our own internal Hendrick website. And our internal site hosts a lot of the content that tech coaches have created. We've got this broken down into technology tools by different levels. So elementary level, middle school, high school. Our Schoology page, for example, contains about 932 videos. If I'm being hyperbolic, but it contains a lot. And it contains a lot broken down by categories. So we have things down from beginner skills, so just how to get set up, advanced skills, how to make assessments, teacher checklists, And then even this week, we did live hosting with teachers in the afternoon for a remote day yesterday, talking about the grade passback feature with Infinite Campus. We also have resources available on the website. And as we update the website too, we also have a banner running up top that tells people, like, a call out, hey, here's what's new on the website too. Aside from that, we've got resources which go over just a bunch of different things, like from teacher laptop, student parent website link, our document camera request that just came out. We have a calendar of sessions, which also includes the BOCES courses that a lot of us have also been taking on the side. We have a directory of our tech coaches, and we have announcements from Mrs. Nair as well. So we've housed a lot of stuff inside of this website, and the amount of storage space and videos, I can't even begin to imagine what that's taking up. Lastly, in general, tech coaches, and this goes for tech coaches at every level. If I'm speaking about the high school tech coaches here, and I'm saying this about all of them, I'm going to be humble on this one. They have been like the unsung heroes, I think, in a lot of ways, behind the scenes through a lot of what's been going on in terms of adapting. So far, tech coaches have worked to offer office hours throughout the week. So we have set office hours, but of course that's part of it, right? We've been working with our respective departments for questions specific to our content areas. So each of us have kind of broken off to think about how to apply some of the tools and ideas that we have with the content areas within which we teach. We've responded to emails from faculty, administration, students, and families about ideas that we could add, best practices, issues that we've been running into, and not only troubleshooting, but also problem solving, and coming up with some pretty cool ideas along the way. And we've been engaging in professional development, researching new technology tools, and adapting and enriching our approach continuously. And that's been one of the most important things here, that it hasn't been a like one and done kind of thing or a singular approach to the year. New ideas, new ways of using things, troubleshooting things, finding issues, finding ways around them. That's kind of how this has gone, and it's how it's going to go. And each time we find a way to keep getting better. And I'd say that across the board for tech coaches in general, because as we've already seen tonight, some of the stuff that's been done has been pretty incredible. But yeah, I really got to give a hand to my fellow tech coaches. I'm going to show their names one more time, just to, for all of them. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you. And as is customary, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Did you say you guys made all of those videos yourselves, or did you just aggregate them from the Schoology teaching site?
Oh, those are ours. We have made a
That's
lot
impressive.
of videos.
Very impressive. All right, does anybody have any questions? Allie, go ahead.
First, I have to say this is really impressive. I particularly like how you have been able to respond to the feedback we got over the spring. I think we've done a great job, so kudos to everyone. I guess my question maybe is for Laura, or to all the tech coaches. In the beginning of the semester, we had a high number of tickets and the office hours were high. Now that we're closing in on the first quarter, do you feel like we are finding our groove and that parents and staff, like things are settling down now?
I can answer for the for students and families and the help desk. It is decreased by at least 50%, if not more. So definitely, as just sometimes it was just hardware, just getting Chromebooks, troubleshooting that with families and students, and we're still doing it. We're still swapping devices out as needed. And trying to identify what might be going on at someone's home, whether it's their internet connection or, just trying to sync up their passwords. But I would say that when it comes to the tech coaches, I'll let them share that. I know the beginning of the year was really crazy. And I really, what Kyle says goes for K through 12. I mean, we could not have pulled this off. And I said this in the spring too, without these amazing tech coaches, because they were overwhelmed themselves because they're all teachers. So they were getting, they had to deal with it in the spring, and then they had to deal with just starting the school year off themselves in a crazy period of time, trying to support all the other staff who were maybe not as secure in their technology skills. and really nervous. So the beginning of the year was really busy. I actually asked them to pare down their office hours for a while because I just wanted to give them a break. And I didn't want too much pressure put on them. And even just asking them to volunteer tonight, if they wanted to do it, please join us. But because they have just been doing so much, but I'll turn it over to them to talk about where we're at right now.
From an
Sorry.
Want to go first, Kyle?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
From an elementary standpoint, the first few weeks were crazy as we were starting to narrow down, what resources we were using. We were really trying to we learned a lot last year with many different resources, and we were really tailoring to our grade level and then our kiddos and, what they needed. So in the beginning of the year, we were really focusing on how to really use these resources, and we were assisting teachers in that. And now, as the school year is going on, sometimes it could just be a simple, like, I can't see this on my screen anymore. How do I fix it? So it's calmed down a lot.
I think, and this is going to sound strange because I'm just going to switch inflection a little bit. The question has gone from, how am I going to do this to, well, how do I do this? Right? It's this switch from, there's this whole new language and all these things to now, all right, I've got this language. I know what I'm doing. How do I do this specifically? Or can I do this with something else? And that's pretty impressive. And I don't know if the teachers themselves have taken stock of just how far they've come in such a short period of time to understand, like, do you see like the progress that we've all made just in terms of like learning all these new systems and implementing them? So I would say definitely more into the zone of we're finding our groove.
And I'm going to agree with Kyle there. He said everything that I agree with. I think some of the initial, I don't know if panic is the right word, craziness of the beginning of the year has died down, of how am I going to do this? But we are still getting a lot of requests for help on, now that teachers are comfortable in this environment, what else can they do? How can they improve? What other platforms are there? And how we can support them in that.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
And just as an example, a lot more teachers are really trying to take advantage of Go Guardian. So it's something that we've been using. And we saw that there were people asking for help. So I reached out to tech coaches. I said, anyone interested in running a training on Go Guardian? And I had an elementary school teacher and high school teacher volunteer. And just today, this afternoon, we had, I think it was about 24 teachers signed up for an hour-long course that Nupur Palkolis at the elementary school ran virtually. So that was really great to see. And so those kind of things, when we see that there's a high need, we might create a course in addition to some of the office hours that we're already using.
Thank you. Bill, did you have a question? Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, or do you guys know how many views these training videos get each? And do you have any kind of critique at the end of the videos so that you know which ones are effective and for using it for improving future videos?
I'd say depending on where the original file is located or hosted, that would be the best way of determining the viewership. So some of the teachers host through a YouTube channel, some of them share through Google Drive, or I think YouTube is actually one of the most popular. So I haven't actually checked with the teachers respectively to see how many views that they're getting. Most of the time, the feedback that we get is through email or through talking to our coworkers. So if somebody has a question about a specific part of the video, we'll usually follow up on that. The feedback that I would say we've heard so far is that they have been helpful, especially because teachers can go back to it multiple times, as opposed to a training which sometimes can go fast for some people, a little slow for others. So that's what I know I've heard on my end.
Okay, thank you.
And the Google Classroom for the students, all those tutorials, so every single Blue Mountain student went through every single one of those tutorials on the first day of school, and were able to provide feedback to the teachers of the breakout rooms that they were in. And then we're just gathering informally from teachers some feedback as to, have we seen an improvement in how they're writing emails, or are they keeping their cameras on in Google Meets? And it's not perfect, but it's better than the spring for sure.
All right, let me poll around the room, make sure there aren't any other questions. Lisa Anderson.
Sorry, having trouble unmuting. I just wanted to say it's so impressive how you guys have been able to respond to the needs of the students, and then design, and the teachers, and be able to design these new programs to meet those needs. And just thank you. I think it's really impressive.
Corey, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm just always happy to see tech training start earlier and earlier and earlier. So it's a great thing to see. So thank you.
Mary Pat, did you have anything to add? Okay, Lori, how about you? You have anything, any questions, anything to add?
No, I'm very happy to hear all the progress. Great job.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for presenting. It's really impressive. Any last minute thoughts or comments before we move on?
I'm just going to echo again. I just, I've been very, very proud of all of our teachers at Hendrick Hudson last spring and this school year. And a lot of it goes to the incredible team of tech coaches that have all, I was afraid no one was going to step up to want to do it this school year after the spring. And the fact that we have these 3 amazing tech coaches and 17 more that are working and supporting their colleagues just, is a testament to, I think, their character and their dedication to each other and the school district and our kids. So just, this is just 3, but I just want to, thank publicly again, all of our tech coaches for their phenomenal work and their continued work as we continue through the school year.
Thank you. I'm going to take a pause for 1 minute. I got a text from Mary Pat that she was having trouble unmuting. So I want to see if we can solve that problem for her in case she had a question.
Greg, while you try to do that, I'll just have one last comment. This project of having tech coaches started a number of years ago, and it was a brave small group of teachers, only 1, maybe 2 per school, that volunteered and helped us build this model. And we're very, very thankful that we have a group of forward-thinking people who are trying and testing and piloting so many different things and bringing them back and vetting them and their efficacy with each other and Laura, and making sure that they fit our model. Because without that level of research and development, we certainly wouldn't be where we are. So thank you to the folks who are presenting. Thank you to our current group of tech coaches and those that started this trailblazing effort a number of years ago. It's really exciting to watch.
Okay, Mary Pat doesn't have anything else to add, so we can move on. Thank you again very much for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate it. It's always nice to hear what's going on in the school, especially when it's so impressive. So have a good rest of the evening. If you'd like to stay with us for the meeting, that's great, but I'm sure you have plenty of other things that you need to be doing.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Have a great
everyone.
Night.
Take care.
All right, so next on our agenda are our committee reports. Does anybody have a committee report they would like to share with us?
I have some things.
Okay.
I went to the NISPA convention, which I know Carol went to as well. It was really, really interesting. There was just some great workshops. I went to district goal setting, the future of work, and so kind of trying to help our school district know what direction work is going to be going into in the future, and being prepared for that. I did a remote learning best practices, which ties on really well with this tech coach thing that we've been having tonight. school data and privacy, my brother's keeper. There's just, I had a whole bunch of them, but they were really great. And then the one thing I also wanted to report on was the business meeting that I went to on Saturday, where I was the voting delegate for our school district. And the 19 resolutions that we discussed that were NISBA approved or NISBA recommended, we did manage to pass all of those 19. And then the ones that were not recommended by NISBA, none of those passed. But that was okay. And it was interesting to learn about all of that and how that works. And I enjoyed the convention quite a bit. The other thing I did was just on Monday night, there was a West Putt advocacy meeting that I went to, and we were kind of narrowing our focus of what we're going to be advocating for this year. We've narrowed it down to things that involve costly mandates that our districts are being asked to pay the bills on, and then COVID obstacles and special act school districts, ways of helping them out, COVID costs, cutting those or getting reimbursed for them, I guess we should say, and public education funding. So those are going to be the 5 main focuses that we're going to be working on and putting our efforts toward with advocating on. That was it.
Thank you. Yeah, as Lisa said, the NISBA convention was very informative, and I personally liked the remote format this year, partly because all of the talks were videotaped. So we have until the end of December to view any of them that we might have missed. And in a normal convention year, you would have to pick one session to go to, but now we can see as many or few sessions as we want. And any of you who were not able to sign up for the NISBA convention, you still can and view those videos until the end of December. So if you're interested in doing that, you just contact Carmen and she can sign you up for that. Any other committee reports? Okay, so our next section is the audience comments section. And Carmen, did we have anybody send in comments this evening?
Good evening, everyone. No, we did not have any comments this evening or earlier today.
Okay, thank you. I am going to forego reading the guidelines statement again this week. If you're interested in the guidelines for submitting comments to the meeting, they are public on board docs, so you can read them there. And as you see, there are several suggestions for how to participate in the meeting. We do encourage participation in the meeting. We do encourage comments. Just a reminder, it's not a question answer back and forth session, but comments are certainly welcome on any of our agenda items or non-agenda items if you so wish. Thank you. And that brings us to board comments, new business. We already spoke about the NISBA convention. Does anybody else have any last minute comments, anything they wanted to discuss? Any last minute questions for Joe before we sign off?
Nope.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. Our next meeting will be November 18th. It's another Wednesday. And I would like to request a motion to close our meeting this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Have a good evening, everybody. And we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.